We are live, says Justin. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Oh, there we go. Whoops, I had that cranked all the way down. Alright, cool. Alright. It's been so long. Oh, I gotta change this number here. Hold up. Boop. Alright. What's up, World Edit? Good seeing ya. Should be an easy paint up today. Pretty much armor and rock. That's it. So we'll start with the throne first. That'll just be the easiest thing to handle. So we'll get a little bit of black, a little bit of white, a little bit of brown out on the palette. Okay. Look at that dirty paint water. Too funny. Alright, so I'm going to grab some brown, some white. Let's do more white. It's pretty much equal parts. And I should have shaken the black. There we go. Ah, it's going to need more brown now. It's not warm enough. There we go. Cool. Nice warm brown. Probably going to need more than that, but we will work through it accordingly. Okay. So. Nope, that is not dark enough. Okay. Just immediately. Nope. Nope. Alright, well, I'm just gonna thin that out. No big deal. Alright, so I'm gonna get more of the brown. More brown, more black. Okay, that was too much black. Oh my god, we're we're in the throes of paint mixing right now. Gotta love it. Okay. There we go. Now this should be closer to what we're looking at. Obviously utilizing the zenithal. If you didn't zenithal, right, or if you don't, can't. Either way, not a huge deal. As always, you can base coat a lighter color and wash down. All right, perfect. This is gonna be fine. You know, essentially what I'm wanting to do is use a warmer tone like this darker grayish brown, and then we'll highlight up on top with a gray. That way we're not just doing, you know, black and white for gray, but rather a range of tones. Feel free to get this color all over the skulls and everything too, because obviously we'll highlight those up separately with like an ivory. This miniature is kind of like very similar all over in terms of the painting approach, just because we're dealing with a lot of color tinting, and then just highlighting up separate colors, things like that. So. But I can already tell this color is going to be just fine. But I hope you all are doing all right out there. I know we haven't seen each other in quite some time. A lot has happened, obviously. I know everybody's excited for RVE this weekend. But yeah, we had, since I haven't seen you, I know if you follow the Facebook page, you saw my updates and everything about our fun with the winter weather, which was pretty much just as exciting, except way colder than what happened down in Texas. But the only major issue we had, beyond power, water, internet, all those good things, the Captain Planet array of issues, but we had our roof leak into our attic because all of the what do they call it? The flashing on the roof was bad, of course. Brand new house. What else would you expect? But so that got taken care of. Unfortunately, right when we were gonna do Patreon over the weekend, so it was just like dudes slamming on the roof. Like we didn't have a warning. They just showed up. So yeah, that going on. I had a little surgery, and then last week, of course, was the my scheduled COVID vaccine, so I am not missing that for the world. Now my other my second dose is also on a Monday, but it's in the morning. So, and it's like it's early enough that I shouldn't feel any of the side effects like during the stream. Hopefully, maybe. I mean, I did feel sick. The evening of, I got chills and all, like, I was headed towards a fever, but I took medicine immediately, just like a couple Advil, and then went to bed. But then the next day I was cool. I was just tired. And then the next day Sydney didn't feel great, but she felt fine that night. And then I will go ahead and do the same wash on his head right here. And so while all of this dries, then we'll base coat his armor. We're going to use the copper for that. Easily peasilies. But yeah, I mean, we got really lucky to get our vaccine though when we did. It was it wasn't done by the state at all. That whole system is a nightmare. It was done through a private lab with OU, and they had 10,000 people. And it was super efficient, really, really well done. So, what mini is this? I actually don't know the name. I had the package over here somewhere. Yeah, I don't have the package with me. Sorry, I don't think. Is this the package? Oh, is it Dragoth? I think it's Dragoth is his name. Dragoth. I believe. But we have the sort of the version we're going for, right? And then what we're starting with here. So hopefully we get close. We usually get pretty close. But so I haven't actually looked on Patreon to see, but we are rescheduling our class. It's with the Tengu Wizard, and it is a freehand cloth and gem class. So I know a lot of people are excited about it. But I just have too much stuff going on this week. Like, tomorrow's Sydney's birthday. And then I'm pretty much tied up, right, with all the way through Wednesday. So we'll be rescheduling for later this week or possibly even this weekend to do that. And we're just looking for a nice and even coat. So it may take me 2 coats, right, depending. But I'm just doing really, really close layered brush strokes, right, to make sure that it's really, really even. What's crazy too is, so the thing that I bought Sydney for her birthday, I bought her multiple things. One is like a custom made thing off of Etsy, and the person, it was supposed to have shipped last week, and then they changed it to after her birthday, so that won't be here. And then I bought another thing, and FedEx delivered it last week to a random house. Said it was delivered here, no box outside. It was expensive too, and you know, I have security cameras. They didn't, you know, they're nothing. it was never delivered, and so I called the company to be like, "Yo, it didn't show up," and they were like, "Okay, but we can't help you for like a week, so you got to call back in a week." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So, unfortunately, now we did have a family dinner for her birthday last night, so she got a couple presents and stuff. But it just sucks because like I tried to plan a nice birthday, and now there's nothing to show for it. But that pretty much is my week. The 3D printing orders, everything like that, all of that is all caught up. I do have a couple oopsies to send in the mail. Some I forgot, like a base, and then I forgot some of the Reaper minis. Somebody ordered multiple, and the invoice I printed, I just didn't show me because I was looking at the wrong thing. But so I do have to go to the post office once we're done here today. But all of that is totally back to normal. So if you do put an order in, it's that 3 to 5 day turnaround time, depending on what you order. If you order big stuff, obviously, it takes a little bit longer. But definitely check that out. There's some stuff that'll be disappearing very shortly on the website. All of my bulk Reaper minis are still 40% off, if you haven't checked that out, if it interests you. But that's pretty much it. So, this is Dragon Copper. All the colors that we use are a part of the palette that we put out, so you can check that out on the Reaper website. Just search Miniature Monday and you'll see every color possible that we're going to be using, no matter what. I forgot to take my allergy medicine today, and I can tell. But you can see I'm just applying it in small little sections, and I just move my brush back and forth, and that way I get the best coverage I possibly can. And then once this is dry, we'll be washing it down with different levels of purple to do all of our shading. And then I think the next mini is what, the like steampunk chick, the Aquanaut. Or maybe she was supposed to be today? I don't know. Maybe I messed up the order. I just have to figure it out. But I feel like that's not too big of a deal. Alright, and then I think we also did, yeah, so I also did the portion of the sword here. Just not the handle itself. Okay, and then I want to do the middle in gold, but it's not a big issue to do right this second. But, so you can tell the rest of our, like, base colors are dry. So, what we can do is start the highlighting process. So down here on the palette, you can see I've just got a nice gray. And we'll just see how this looks currently. I'm not too sure how bright it is or is not, but this looks pretty good. So I'm going to use this as our first little highlight color. We'll end up doing 2 different highlight rounds on the rock. Don't be afraid of texture. All of the things that we like as we begin to work our way up. And I'm essentially looking at every single, like, side here. And just sort of gently outlining, highlighting, texturing up. Now I want my next highlight color to just be like a pure gray. Because this is still definitely like a very, very brownish gray. Obviously lighter than what we had, but... Man, I'm going to get a little bit of a darker version of it here, like so. There we go. For some of these broader areas. I am going to start getting back, my schedule is different now. So I am going to get back to regular streaming. I know you guys haven't seen me in a couple months just doing regular streams like I used to. And I'll be aiming for like the 4 to 5 o'clock-ish slot. So later afternoon, I know I used to do like 2 p.m. But I did ask everybody on Patreon. I was like, hey, what time works best for you? And everybody said late afternoon to early evening. So we will see how that goes. I've got a lot of Kingdom Death stuff coming up in the future. All really, really high-level paintings, so I know you guys love to see that. I'm trying to think what else. We've got more Kingdom Death. I've got some other stuff, too. Just random. And then I just have some projects I want to do. Mostly 3D printed stuff. I know I did the practice model. I was trying some different airbrush techniques on that old Rackham sculpt last week. Which, like, I am happy with the technique. I'm not happy with the way that miniature looks by any means currently. But it wasn't really about what that would look like. It was more about like the process of color application. And so since I figured it out, I'm pretty pleased because I know what I can do with it, if that makes sense. But a lot different than what I would typically do in terms of order of operations. Which really, you know, I talk about it all the time, but the order in which you apply the paint is almost equally or more important than the colors you select most of the time. And if you ever feel like you're in a rut, changing up the order in which you apply your it didn't end up anything. I mean, it's sitting in front of me. It probably won't ever get finished being painted. I mean, that's kind of how these things go, right? If I put paint on something and I don't like the way it looks, then either A, I never touch it again, or B, I never touch it again. But you never know. It might resurface. But I just have so many old Rackham sculpts that it's kind of like, you know, it's weird. It's one of those things like all of those Rackham minis were like grail minis for me, right, to collect for years. And then once I got my hands on like everyone I wanted, it's so funny how that always works, right? So once I got all the ones I ever wanted, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm never going to touch them. So dumb, man. I'm telling you. But that's how this hobby goes, right? It's always the cult of new. You obsess over wanting something, you finally get it, and then you're like, oh, this new thing's better. Yeah, you just move right along. Alright, we're going to start on the back here. I'm going to do these edges. The little trim here. Now, my chair is warped, but I didn't have time to do a hot water trick today, so... But then again, you know, who cares, right? This is some old, decrepit throne somewhere in a crypt. Maybe it's just warped with, over time, with evil energy. But you can see we're rendering out the stone seat beneath all of the different things that are attached to it. I think it's starting to build shape here. So I want to thin this out even further with some water. Let me get a little bit more. Oh, trash, yeah. I mean, that's... The other day, Sydney was like... So, what's funny is Sydney and I are working on a project for a well, it's we're changing up the way like I had done Simple Skirmish a while back. I know I had people play test it and all that, and Simple Skirmish, for those that aren't familiar, is a tabletop skirmish rule set that I've been working on for years as just like this fun little side project. But what we've decided to do is release it as like a zine, because I was looking at Zine Quest on Kickstarter, and that's what a lot of people are doing for like role-playing game stuff. And Sydney was like, I would love to illustrate, you know, because it wouldn't be a ton of illustration work. I mean, it'd be a little bit, but not like a full-blown book, you know. And so she started illustrating stuff. She's done like a goblin and a wizard, and now she's working on an elf, and like just different artwork that I kind of have set up. And we've been kind of working on that. And so I have, you know, all these miniatures that I have, I kind of want to end up using to play different things like that. But what was funny was we were talking about games and like different things that are sort of similar. And what's funny is there was one trash. It was the guys that did Planet 28. They were the ones that did it. And hold on, let me take this phone call because it said unknown, and then now it doesn't say unknown. Hello? Okay, dumbass. Oh man, it's Social Security calling me, and they said they were gonna cancel my social in 24 hours unless I paid them. Very cool. But so it was guys that did Planet 28, and they made one called Brutal Quest. It's like a narrative game, but they did it for February's Zine Quest theme. So, but they were the only people that did it, and that game's very different anyway as well. Like I have the Planet 28 stuff, and I backed theirs, you know, because it's all super cheap, right? Like that's the thing. If we're gonna release this, it'll be like $10, $5, whatever. If you get a printed version, right, super cheap. But so, you know, the concepts that we've been working on are like very simple combat, like not a lot of housekeeping, like a lot of games have, very easy pre-game preparation, stuff like that. And what's funny is I was like, man, you know, a game growing up that I had a lot of fun playing was Mage Knight, which was really fun. And so then I went and I looked and I found like one of the original 20-year-old starter boxes, and I got it for like $15. And then I bought like another lot on eBay of like, and I got a really good deal on it because the Mage Knight stuff typically sells for about $1 or more per mini if you find a lot on eBay. And I got a lot of like 60 of them for like 40 something bucks. So I was pretty pleased. But, you know, I'm like, we got to play this. Like, this was something I loved growing up. It was so much fun. And she was like, we have all these new games that we haven't played. But to be fair, Sydney and I have literally become Vikings, and we've been playing so much Valheim like since the huge winter storm. That's kind of like all we are having fun doing. So I'm sure we'll get back to our board gaming roots. But she was like, we have all these things that we haven't even touched, which is very true. But yeah, the game that we're kind of tooling right now, and we have like some ideas for names and different things like that. None of it is themed, sort of. Like currently she's working on, it's hard to describe, like genre neutral artwork. And I know that I said, you know, she did a wizard and a goblin, but if you saw the image of the wizard that I shared out that she did, you'll realize, right, like it isn't like like it's not very it's not typical artwork, right? Because it had like robot arms and like pistols, and you know what I mean. So like we're just doing like genre mixing for the art in general. But what I've been, you know, the base system's done, so the base game system's finished, and it's varied a lot. Like we got rid of the card mechanics, we went back to dice rolling, D6s, and made a couple changes based on like what people had seen previously and had play tested previously, and then now I'm focusing more on like cooperative play stuff, which is cool, and like cooperative campaign style stuff. How do you increase your game size, what that means for forest creation, different stuff like that. So it's kind of been, you know, a bathroom project, right? Like something you think of when you go to the bathroom. But that's kind of been just like a fun little side thing we've been doing. All right, so now I'm going with more white mixed in for sort of our like final highlight color, and I'll start up here just to kind of set the tone. And I'm going in on the top side of the cracks and everything for all the highlights. And you can see, really, I'm just building in our highlight towards the top. And I'm actually going to go down here where it was thinner. Need some more water. Okay. So I think that's pretty good. The lighting was a little bit more drastic on the other version, so if we compare the two. But I also went back with, I think, purple right there as well. So you can see it is similar in design, right? But so maybe we do that, I don't know, as we work our way back down. Okay. Some more water. I'm just getting it thinner the further down, you know, this little area that I go, and I'm just pushing my brush to create texture. Obviously, you can tell. You can tell by the variance in color there. Aren't as many cracks on this side, so I'm not too concerned with like detailing that out. And there we go. But I just wanted to get that section done first, right? Because it's like the very top of the model. And that will help us sort of determine how our highlighting will look further down the throne we get. But I think that's pretty achievable. I'm trying to think, it's literally been so long since I've looked at the painted minis. I don't remember what the fourth mini is. I know we have the Aquanaut, but I don't remember. I don't remember what the other one is for this month. It's not in front of me. I think it's... Oh, no. So there's the Aquanaut. So then, is it over there? Let me see what I have in front of me. It's so funny, I can't remember. Sorry about that, I forgot to close my messenger window. Albert Einstein. I mean, that'd be a good meme. Okay. You know what's funny, Trash, though? Like, I would love to just give, like, bad answers only, right? To be like, yeah, next week we're painting up, you know, whatever, and we just say something dumb. But, like, having done this for over a year now, right? I also know that there are people that, like, just won't let us have fun, and they would, like, complain that we're joking around, so we're not allowed to have that much fun. Now I'm going in here with the smaller little runes, or whatever, the alphabet inscribed in a chair. And I'm just hitting all the edges from the top. Texturing a little bit as we go. I can tell it is dry in here today, based on how all of my thin paint is drying on my wet palette. Which should tell you how thin it is to begin with, right? If it's drying on a wet palette. Maldracar in 20 minutes, man. I sold my Maldracar. Oh, that actually reminds me too. Anyway, stories. But yeah, I sold my Mal for, I'm pretty sure, less than retail. Like last month, because I just am never gonna have time to ever paint that thing. Period. Like, it is just not happening. I am admitting defeat here. I know my myself and how these things go, and it's just never gonna happen. So got rid of it. Which I know, since it's out of production, people are like, how could you? How could you get rid of Maldracar? But hey, you know. Yeah, I know Karen, one of my patrons bought it. Because that's because I went to the Patreon group and I was like, hey guys, do you want this? Because I know that as soon as I had posted it to like the Reaper buy sell trade group, that it would sell immediately, right? And within 10 minutes, one of my Patreon people was like, yeah, I'll take it. Which did help out a little. Little did I know, right? Last month was going to be so terrible. Like, what I'm really scared about is like our electric bill from last month, and like, you know, I'm going to be in a lot of money problems here very, very quickly. So, hoping for the best, but you may see me selling all kinds of things that I would rather hang on to this month, but. Alright, so I like this level for our rocks here. The armor is dragon copper. So we used, I believe, dragon gold and dragon copper for this kit. So it should be easy to remember. I don't think there's a dragon like silver color, if I'm remembering right. I know that's not what we used. We used, what did we use? We used blade steel. But it would have been funny, right, to be able to include only dragon tones. That'd be pretty funny. I'm going to take sort of a darker color here, push it in, texture up that side a little bit more. What's funny too, right, is like the bones are so stark in comparison, and I didn't paint this way on the original paint job either, which is kind of funny. But I figured, hey, why not, right? We should just highlight things up a little bit differently. But the issue that we're going to run into mostly will be like if then the skeletons are highlighted up too much, then that color, like the color that we've chosen, will be too similar. But we won't know until we get there, so I'm not worried. Worried enough to recognize, but that's about it. Okay. Oh, actually, 1 second. I just remembered something I need to tell Sydney. ASAP. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go down the interior edge here. Okay. And we'll do the top here. I'm going to mix this down a little bit more. And then we're going to nix it on the stone for now, just so that we can start the process on the armor. This color was warmer compared to what we had previously. But there's so many other details on the back side of this that I don't care to like outline it as much as we had previously. Okay. So now then, I'm going to take our purple and get some of that out here. Oops, sorry. No, this one. Right? Is this right? I think, did I grab the wrong one? Maybe I did. Whoops. It's all right. They're very similar. We're gonna make a wash out of that. You can see me doing that right here. And we'll probably go darker too, but first pass should just be enough to tint it. That's gonna go all over the purple. All over the purple, sorry, all over the armor. And this will look super, super saturated, right, as you apply it, just because it's wet. And then as it dries, it will desaturate, not be as vivid. And then, of course, as we tone it down further, we'll move away from a crazy purple tone. But until then, okay, got that knocked out. Easy peasy. So we're gonna let that dry, and let's move on to our brown. So we're just gonna use brown and white for the bones. And we'll just mix our way up directly. So I'm gonna make a new little area here. All right. And you can see as that purple dries, right, if we compare it to our painted version already, I just darkened it a little bit further. So we're doing okay in our replica here. I'm gonna add a little bit of white. Add a little bit more, actually. So really, like, 50-50 white to our brown. Oop. I'm going to use this to start highlighting up. And you can almost like overbrush all of our skeletons. You don't necessarily have to like do base coats. Because I'm assuming, right, that these skeletons have been here a while. It's also strange, right, thinking like a skeletal lord or whatever is surrounded by like not undead skeletons. I don't know if that makes sense, but you could obviously dry brush this as well, but you can see I'm getting the same effect with wet paint, just overbrushing it all. Throne on this is really cool too, right? Because it's all these bones inlaid together. And then the difference, the metal version of this mini, I believe you can do the undead head, or it's a vampire. Which the throne kind of makes more sense. I mean, if it would make sense, right? But in that regard. Bling bling. I always forget to turn off notifications for things. Or we don't get a notification, right? Like until I'm actually streaming, then it's like, oh, right, whoops. Okay. We got the party skeleton back here. Got the 3 Amigos skulls. What's funny is I really like the Kickstarter right now, the Zombicide that Simon's got going on, because it's Wild West themed, and it's nearly impossible to find like modern proportioned Wild West minis that like aren't weird in some way either, right? Because obviously the guys over at War Cradle that do Wild West Exodus, like those minis are beautiful, but they're like not true Western minis, right? They're the Weird West, so they, they'll have like weird Tommy guns or like whatever. I mean, they have aliens in that game, right? So that should tell you. And I don't really necessarily care about Western movies per se, so like this stretch all of the stretch goal Kickstarter unlock characters, I don't, whoop-de-doo. Okay, we got Clint Eastwood, whoop-de-doo, right? Like that's fine and all. That's not going to change my mind one way or the other. But the one that I really wanted, that I was just really hoping we'd see, were the 3 Amigos, right? And they included them as a part of the steampunk, like, expansion. So I don't want that. That was such a letdown, but because yeah, $100 for a board game obviously is a stretch, but I'm only really concerned with the minis. But to immediately make me spend an extra $40 on top, I don't know about all that. So, I may have to completely pull that pledge. But I do want to do the tiny epic dungeons. I feel like that's going to be fun just because it's all the tiny epic stuff is really, really always a good time. We're going to take the same color and do the rug, which is actually skin. And it's not going to be fresh, so we don't need it to be looking nice and brand new. And then here we have a someone's discarded face mask back here. And we'll just sketch that in too. Easy enough. All right. So now then, we get more of the white. Armor's looking good. Now let's dry. It's good. I was thinking this would be probably like a 4:30-ish end time, and it looks like we're probably headed right that direction. All right, so we've got this nice kind of ivory tone, which is what we're looking for our bone highlights. I kind of want to add like... Nope, that is dragon gold. So let me see. I'm going to add a slight amount of yellow, like literally the tiniest amount you can imagine. Like just the tip of the brush, you can see it right there. There we go. We don't really have anything warm on the palette, and so... Or sorry, not warm, but like yellow, right? Everything else is sort of very similar. And so with the purple, yellow works really well as a contrasting highlight. And there we go. So we're just going to go in and start highlighting up all the skulls, bones, you name it. And I mean, it's not going to even look like it's necessarily straight up yellow. At some point, too, we'll have to go in and do all of our silver stuff, the chains and accessories, shackles. And with this highlight pass, this is sort of what I'm using to define all of the features on the skulls and everything else like that. So this is really sort of our like detailing pass. Now then, on the face as well, I did do glowing eyes, so I will keep that in mind. Maybe we shall do that. If I had some of the RVE colors, maybe we would do, like what, they have like neon colors or something, right? I forget what they were called, but maybe one of those would be cool. The side of the jaw. What did I do? Oh, that's what... Okay. So yeah, we will make it glow. Because I was like, how did I do the jaw? But if you look, I actually made the head glow from where it met the armor. Which is what I was looking at here. Like, how do I do that part? So, makes sense. Let me get a little bit more water here. Thin this back down. Okay, getting this guy down here. And I want to do like a reddish, almost like an auburn shadow wash. Closer to the bones as well, so that'll be kind of like a finishing touch. I'm just really going down the edges here with the brush, picking out the highlights. If this were the metal version of this mini, I mean, you could probably go in and give all the throne bones a little bit more love, right? But this is an OG Bones mini, so we're gonna accentuate what it's doing well, right? So top of the highlights, things like that. Selectively highlighting everything on the throne around here. What was the... I'm trying to think of the PlayStation game, Medieval, where the guy was like an undead knight with just a skull for a head. I think that's what that was. What is this? Oh, somebody sent me a PM. Oh right, yeah. I've seen Black Scorpion stuff before, but even their scale, because I think I have some of these, yeah, and like I just don't like sculpts like that are like old school hand sculpts, because I want like modernly done stuff, if that makes sense. There was some company that had like STLs. I think it's called oh, what are they called? They have their own game. I forget what it is. And theirs are okay too, but like it's like a mixed collection. But for something that's easy enough, right, to just like get a big collection that's all scaled the same. That's kind of what I was looking for. But yeah, I'm just not a fan, right? Like I have a ton of the Reaper Wild West minis as well, and obviously they're old school scale hand sculpts. My you know, what I would prefer is if like there was a STL Kickstarter or like a Patreon that was doing it, but there's not, so. But that's alright. We're obviously talking about me getting miniatures that, like, what am I gonna do with it? You know what I mean? just get them and be like, cool, now I've got this project whenever I can feasibly do it. That's not true though. I mean, you guys saw me before the holidays or during the holidays last year. I also have a bunch of custom made Wild West minis that are like a frog sheriff, and like they're all animals, like an elephant, different things like that, and those are fun just because they're so strange, right? Which obviously goes against me being like, I want modern scaled realistic sculpts, but I guess the difference there is that they're like, you know, they're dressed appropriately, so they don't have like weird steampunk clothing or like, you know, cybernetic parts. If you're okay with the, like, Wild West Exodus is a fun game, and their sculpts are gorgeous. Like if you've never, they're larger. They're like 35 millimeter. They say, I believe, that they're 32 scale, but like they're not. They're a little bit bigger than that. And the resin is awesome to work with, like just beautiful casts. So if you've never messed with their stuff and you like the aesthetic, right? Like they're a real joy to paint just because they're so big. And the bases are cool because the bases are like these little mini plinth style looking things, but a little bit harder to find in the US, obviously. I feel like whoever cast their stuff is the same company now that cast the Moonstone minis. Because all the Moonstone stuff is done by a new company now, like the actual production of their resin, and it's like super, super clean. The first run of Moonstone stuff was a little questionable. It was almost like Bones, right? Like OG Bones, because like some of the stuff would be so out of whack that you had to go cook it with like hot water, right, to straighten it all out on like super thin swords or things like that, but as to be expected, right? or you know, as I had happen when I was doing the box art for some of their stuff, having parts break on box art that like you can't repair because it's like so thin and brittle. But that's the trade-off you make for detail when it comes to resin like that. And like I wish, you know, I already used the resin that I use for my 3D printing is okay. Like I can upgrade what I use, right, by buying very expensive like flexible high impact resin, but then that would mean I can't charge like $7 a mini, you know what I mean? But I already use resin that's pretty good, that doesn't just immediately shatter, but things break. Things will always break. All right, so I like that. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of our red here, and I'm going to mix it in with the brown, and we're going to make like a fake auburn shadow color. I'm going to put this like around, I mean, you'll see where I put it, but... Make a nice wash out of that. And I'm going to put this and just taper it all along the bottom here where the skeletons are, etc., etc. If everything we hadn't been, you know, selecting for our palette this time around was from the Bones line, then we would be using just straight up Auburn Shadow or Rust Brown, right? But my faves. Hard to go wrong with such classics. But that'll just add enough dimension to the base, right? That's also why we went a little bit more yellow, because it will help accentuate that. And it isn't meant to be like blood or anything, right? So don't get that confused. This is more just like a tonal shift towards the lower side of objects, things like that. It's been a while since we've had an opportunity, but to do just like straight up blood or something. But you guys know, I think that's like just such a cheesy cop out whenever people just like slam blood on a mini. This is dinge, right? That's what we'll go with. This is just classic dinge. This is like, who does it? I think Angel Giraldez does it, right? Where he like, wherever the feet touch something, he'll use like a neon color all the time. Like he'll just pick a different neon color and just put it next to whatever it's touching, and it like highlights stuff. That's your college band classic dinge. I figured yours would be like dented surge can or something. I'll put a little bit here going up into the throne. Okay. So that was good, right? Toned out a lot of the base. And then let's see, where else? So like up here. Now remember, down towards the bottom of this little section is where I did more purple the first time. That's the first single. I gotcha. Put a little bit around here. Boom. All right, so now then I want to take that purple, and we need a little bit more black because I need to wash this armor down one more time before we hop over to start highlighting it, and then we can work on the glowing eyes. Who doesn't love a good glowing eye? All right, so I've got the purple, a little bit of black. Nope, nope, too much black. There we go. And we'll just do the sides of the body. Pretty much anywhere where we're dealing with more shadow than not. Bottom side of the arms, everything like that. What's funny, I like that his like propped up knee is kind of bent funny because it looks like he's really it looks like he's really just like relaxing, you know what I mean? You make painting look so easy. It's not as easy as it looks. Well, I do have a Patreon where you can sign up at different levels. You can check out patreon.com/minipaintingstudio where I do exactly what I'm doing now, right? So start to finish paint stuff every session. And for as little as $5 a month, you can get a fresh class over a topic that people vote on, right? So I let people figure out what they want. Right now we've got, 81 people signed up on Patreon. So there's quite a few people that come through and hang out. But so like depending on how much you want to sign up for, you get more and more videos. But there's also a vault of classes as well that's always available to people that sign up. So there's like 80 plus hours of content available from previous classes. That you can sign up and check out as well, all the way from like literally like beginning tips to color theory to really advanced stuff is available to check out. And I know that a lot of people have said in the past, right, like as a new painter they had wished they had like gone with something like that, like someone whose technique is similar to my own, just because you realize that you don't use a lot of paint, you save a lot of paint, you save a lot of time, different things like that. So but that is how I make my very meager and grindy living, is by doing that and selling stuff off of my web store. So I do appreciate the support, of course. But for new people, I always think it's, if you're really fresh to painting, I would like to think my many years painting minis can be better served helping new folks. So, and there are people in the chat too that are on my Patreon. They can confirm that it's beneficial in some way. All right, so I'm gonna take the silver while that dries. And I'm gonna look for all of our chains, shackles, all that good stuff. And we'll paint that up and then wash it down too. Yeah, the last, it was in front of me, yeah, so like the last, what we did last month was a quick little snick. Very, very quick paint job on the Giant Snake Mini. That one was a lot of fun. I feel like a lot of people enjoyed it. I forget what we titled that one. I think that one was Red and Black Friend of Jack was the title we stuck with. Now, my blade is bent here, but we'll pretend that it's not. How about that? Okay. Base coat looks good. All right, so the armor is toned down really well. All right, so if we compare the two now with where we're looking, what's funny is that throne does look better, more highlighted up like we did this time around. So we still have to do the OSL on the face and finish that up, and then highlight up the armor. So while the silver dries, let's grab our You know, we could just skip that, but we'll go ahead and do the copper first and then the gold on top. We could skip the copper though, but we'll go ahead and do it just for good measure here. Let me see. I'm starting to feel a little weird. I had the pneumonia vaccine this morning. I feel kind of sick right now. It kind of started to hit me halfway through. I was wondering if I was going to feel weird. I'm getting all kinds of vaccinated this year, it seems. The side effect feels a little similar to, well, not really. I feel just kind of lightheaded or something. The COVID vaccine, I just felt like a feverish type deal. And it was Pfizer. My parents had Moderna. They didn't really feel anything the first time around. Their arm just kind of hurt. Second time around, my mom did feel sick. That happened a couple times where the on-stream cam seems to come out better than the reference model. Oh, you mean like the one? Yeah. I'm not sure. I think what it is, so anytime I paint something, and this was true with commissions too, back when I was stuck in that hellhole. So like if you're painting an army of like 100 things, what's funny is like you definitely, after you paint like the first 10, you get very efficient at doing the rest of them, right? And obviously too, right, you know, like, oh, I can make this look better by changing this, changing that. And what sucks about it is that like you'll end up wanting to reinvest the saved time to make something look better, right? And you can't really do that if you're doing a commission because, like, you know, someone's already paid or is paying for the exact same detail all the way through, and that means you need to stay consistent with yourself for it to make sense. But when it comes to, like, the Miniature Monday stuff, what's funny is, like, you know, who cares, right? So I paint it one time, and the next time I do it, you know, you just kind of, like, know what worked, what didn't work. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say, like, the majority of them, I feel like end up looking a little bit better because I'm like, you know, it'll be a small change, like, oh, I want this to be brighter, or, you know, it would look better if this was more highlighted, it would look better if this wasn't this color, right? And we just make those changes accordingly, and it always seems to work out. So now I'm going to grab our Dragon Gold. Sometimes, though, right, like, some of the paint jobs can't really, like, depending on what it is, you can only change it so much, like the wargs, right? But, you know, back when we had a limited palette, there wasn't as much as we could do to make changes. Is this color is not, I mean, I could just hit it with the Vortex mixer, but it's behind my palette sheets currently. All right, that'll work. What got me into mini painting? I would have to say, I think I saw painted Gorka like I saw a setup of painted Gorka Morka miniatures when I was like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9. No, sorry, when I was like 7 or 8. I know I wasn't like 8. I think it wasn't more than 8, according to my parents. Because I think on my 9th birthday is when they bought me a old discounted Warhammer starter set to paint. But so I mean, I've been painting miniatures for more than 20 years. I haven't been good for more than 20 years, obviously. But and even what we're doing here is all tabletop stuff. You know, just quick and easy paint job techniques to help people get stuff done quickly for their gaming needs, or just improve their own skill, right? To get consistent results faster. That's kind of the point of the Miniature Monday show, is to do a start to finish mini at like a table level. But yeah, I think I just saw that and I wanted to know what it was, and I thought it was cool. And then my parents were like, "Yo, this is expensive, and this store is weird," and so they just kind of quickly diverted. But yeah, I mean, mid '90s was when I first saw anything miniatures related. And then I have, you know, I didn't paint that entire time either, right? There was like the skateboarding phase of my life, and then there was the card game phase in my card game phase of my life, and then there was the I'm in middle school and I'm trying to get like girls to notice me phase, and then there was the high school. Well, and then after middle school, going into high school, then it was playing Warhammer with friends, right? And I had like an older friend group, and that's what we did, and it was really fun. And then after that, I moved, and then there was like no miniature anything for a long time. And then college, I didn't do anything. I did debate in college, so I didn't have any free time at all. And then I don't know. And then yeah, then I just took a long break, and then and then I got a then I started working with startup companies, and I did like IT work and design. And to relax and get away from all of those nightmares, I started painting miniatures and getting back into board games. And then I've told the story many times, but after a very crazy experience with a startup company, I was like, you know what? I'm already painting, and I was in a position where I could just stop what I was doing and survive a little bit and see what I could turn the painting into. And then I started doing full-time commission work, charging way too little for a few years, making like no money at all. But that's when you know, my social media presence kind of expanded, and you know, I was able to stream every day all the time, and I was single, and you know, things were just different. And then I'm trying to think kind of where it went. I mean, really, it was all of the commission painting stuff and people, you know, watching my videos and getting tips on painting. Then I started the Patreon and started making a little bit more money there. And then the rest is history, really. And then dealing with insane commission clients and getting a lawyer and all kinds of stuff. I changed my focus to really just teaching and helping people paint. And that's where we're at, you know. Started working with Reaper last year. And yeah. That is my miniature history 101. Alright, so I just highlighted up the old dingy skin here. Which kind of now, and I used the skin tone that we have, but now it kind of just looks kind of like the bone highlight color, so I don't know. Take it as you will. But, oh, let's do like, because this is, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure this is supposed to be skin here, but I'm just going to pretend that it's not, so I'm just going to make this like red. Dark red. I already had red on the palette, that's why. So let that dry, and then we'll do the OSL on the face, and we'll call it a day-o. So I'm going to highlight up the other gross face here. What's funny is we can't really follow our normal face highlighting procedure on a literal skin mask, but we can pretend. Oh, actually we can. All right, so yeah, I'm going to the tear ducts, left hand, right hand side of the mouth. How funny to highlight up the way that we always do it. This reminds me of that nice little scam Simon pulled with the Hate board game. I remember like all of the sculpts for that just had like human skin stretched everywhere, and I was like, cool, dude. Really trying hard to be edgy, huh? But what's funny, right? So like if you didn't really keep up with anything that happened with that game. So like the whole point of that game was that it was like too edgy for them to be able to. It was, you know, it's a mature board game, they said, because it was like too graphic, so they wouldn't be able to sell it at retail, right? And that it was only Kickstarter exclusive, the whole thing, and it would never be in retail. So all these people bought it because they're like, oh, gotta have every game, right? And what inspired you to start painting skin masks? Yeah, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden they announced that Miniature Market is selling copies of the game. Which, you know, whatever, right? Like, I don't think it has a lot of the exclusive stuff. Or, well, I guess technically, I mean, I don't know. Like, how do you delineate, right? What's exclusive, what's not? But either way, I don't think it has all the content from the Kickstarter. But I just thought it was so funny. I mean, cool mini or not, man. That company has changed so much. But I thought that was so funny that they were like, I know we told you you would never be able to buy this game, but we want you to be able to buy this game. And I've seen some of the sculpts painted up pretty well, and they look really cool, right? But yeah, that game is just like skin, blood, and skulls everywhere you look. If that's your cup of tea, definitely check it out, right? Since you can buy it on Miniature Market. If you've got like a Warhammer Chaos Army or something like that, it's obviously great for proxies. Even though that's a no-no. Alright, so we highlighted that up pretty well. Alright, let's do the glow on the face. So we're going to grab a blue. Now, how did I do it? I just did it pretty straight on right now. Alright, so we're going to get blue here. Yeah, I mean, without, in as few words as possible, I'll just say, they're a really cool company. Really good at capitalism. 10 out of 10. So, alright, so relatively thin down here. What? Did I move this? Yeah. What's the new primer I was recommending? I didn't recommend a new primer. So, I'm not sure. Like, are you talking about today? I also am not using new primer, so I'm trying to think what I said. If you can point me in the right direction of when I said something, I might be able to remember. So I'm going for like where the head meets the neck. And I'm gonna get some white to highlight that up. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I would have recommended, Keldor. I can't. I'm trying to think of something new that I'm using. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was me mentioning the 3D Prime stuff from Badger. Is that what you're talking about? In reference to like my 3D prints. That isn't necessarily new though, but I know I did mention that. Oh, are you talking about the airbrush? Are you talking about the? There you go. The Army Painter Airbrush Center. Thanks, Chaz. I don't know who you are. I feel like only somebody that would have, like, a Patreon person or somebody that was watching me on Facebook probably would have heard that. But yeah, the Army Painter Airbrush Thinner Medium is the best thing on the market. Boom. You guys know it's serious when I immediately buy more than 10 of something. that's when you know it's like, all right, that's it. Yeah, that stuff's amazing. Definitely super impressed with it. Yeah, the Badger 3D Prime is good. Just make sure, obviously, you're using the clear and then the colored stuff to make sure that you're going to get the most out of it. And too, right? So like it does work really well on stuff that's printed at 5 microns. And I recently just did some prints at 2 microns, and then I used it, and it was like literally you couldn't tell that it was a 3D printed mini. So that stuff is awesome and highly recommended. Now I'm going back with a much brighter blue here, and I'll just be doing like inside the nose, the eyes, and just a very thin line in between that section. Whoop, there you go. Yeah, so it's definitely like, because they say it's a striation filler or whatever, and like FDM. So Trash, what's interesting is when I first got like my first bottle of this stuff, I definitely was using it on something that somebody had sent me that was printed on an FDM printer, and I was like, man, like I don't know how many layers I'm supposed to do, right? I mean, I did layer after layer after layer, and it did like nothing. I mean, there were some areas where it helped, but I think it's because it just kind of like pooled in that area better, right? Or like something like that. But at that point, right, it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't you just use like Mod Podge or something and just do a coat over that? And then the other tip that you may want to try, Trash, and it's obviously a little bit different, a little bit more involving, but you can coat your FDM prints in SLA resin. So you can buy like LV resin, whatever you want, right, for a resin printer, and brush it on, right, and then cure it with either a UV flashlight, which isn't the best, but it will cure it to where you can touch it and use it safely, or just buy like one of the big UV 405 NM LED bricks and then just blast, or leave it out in the sun, actually. Sorry. Just put it out in the sun. But yeah, that's like the best way you'll be able to clean up, other than buying or like doing an acetone bath, or like, you know, any of the other suggested methods that people have. And I don't know why more people aren't like, just because there are like machines you can buy and all of that stuff. And it's, you know, that is cool, but like literally just use 3D printing resin and then just cure it, and it's so much smoother. I'm going back with a brighter white to help kind of sell the OSL effect there. And there you go. So, oh, we didn't wash down the blade. We'll do that real quick. We'll just slam some color on there. Yeah, I recently bought 32-ounce bottles of the 3D Prime, which I didn't know you could buy, right? You can actually buy these like huge 32-ounce bottles of Badger Primer as well from USA Airbrush Supply. But Badger's actually the people that fulfill the order, which is kind of funny. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like they don't really... I think it's like an exclusive thing, because I've never seen anyone else offer it at that volume. But the discount that you get is awesome when you buy that much at once. So if you're somebody that goes through a ton of Badger Primer and you feel bad about spending like $15 on a tiny little bottle, spend even more money. If you spend, I think it's literally like $50 or something for 32 ounces, but it's a 50% discount. So, you know, if you've got the cash and you're going to be doing a lot of painting, it's worth it. So, but we did pretty close. You know, I like the stone that we got this time around. I think it's a little bit better than what I had previously, so that's good. Next time, I'm not sure what we're going to work on. I'll try to get that figured out. I think it's the Aquanaut. We'll just say right now that it's the Aquanaut. I have her right here so you can see her again. So, more gold, just different. So we'll be painting her up next time. She's really fun. This one's a lot of dragon gold, so she's just very, 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 very bright and shiny. But, so another fun paint job. And then we will, I think we have one more mini after that as well, and then we'll move on to the next set. And I'll probably have those ready to rock and roll in a week or so, and we'll share that out so everybody has plenty of time to purchase them and, you know, be ready for that. So, but that'll be it for this week. I'll go ahead and kill this. Justin, if you have any housekeeping stuff for us, any other whatever. I know RVE is this weekend, so if there's any, like, new updates for that or reminders for people to check out classes or whatever.
Yeah, check out classes. That's on, what is it, reapervirtual.com, I believe is what it is. But outside of that, yeah, RV is this weekend. Just come out and say hi. We'll be on Twitch and we'll be on Discord. We'll have the Zoom classes going. Pretty standard stuff. I don't I do not have any sort of like extra stuff. So as of right now, at least, mainly just been busy, obviously all week with RV stuff, and I'm going to continue to be busy. But
Right.
with that, yeah, we look forward to seeing you folks.
Sweet. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. It looks like we are rating Playing in the Mud or Play in the Mud. And yeah, I hope you find $20 in your pocket. I hope your enemies' kids don't go to college and everything goes your way the rest of the week. So I will catch you next time.
You folks.
Did you say you folks?
Thank you folks.
Your mic cut off, so it just sounded crazy.